Good evening. Welcome to a pre-season live stream. This is the second stream I've done since FPL relaunched. Although the first stream was the day it launched, so there's been a lot of time going without any streams. But we're back now. For anyone that's new to the channel, I do these mostly 2 or 3 times a week, so straight after the game week's finished on a Sunday, usually deadline stream, and then sometimes one midweek as well. Who knows, we might even do some during the day this season, because I can do what the hell I want now on this channel whenever I want. Yeah, and also we will get into the questions in a minute. I mean, my team's still the same team as I put up a few days ago on YouTube, but there is a well-requested feature that has been asked for a lot, right? The polls. Where have the polls gone? Why are the polls not there? Something I learned over the summer is either they've been back for ages and I didn't know how to do them, or they're back recently. Let me show you. Let me show you this. So it's not, I don't know if it's better or worse than last. I think this is better the way they're set up now, but you have to be able to see the chat. So let me do it now. Hang on. Let's see if this works. All already done. Doing it right now. Okay. Boom. Poll created. It should now put it in the chat. Should pop up at the top of the chat and you can vote. Oh no, it's not working. Oh no. I thought the polls were back and it's not working. There we go. And then I can literally end it whenever I want. So polls are back. So we can do them. The annoying thing about the polls before is I had to set them up before the stream started. And if I did them during the stream, you had to refresh. But no more. I can just do them on the fly. I can end it whenever I want. See, the current ones had 388 votes. 6% of you getting the subscribe button hit right now. So that should be handy, right? I mean, it's 500 votes already. There's 1,300 people watching, 500 votes. So I think it's going to be quite interactive. So we can definitely use that a lot. I can basically set them up whenever I want, right? So, yeah. So when someone says do a poll, I'll be like, I could do a poll. Amazing. Announce polls. Polls have been announced. There you go. We'll end it there. That's the end of the poll. I wonder if it stays up. No, it doesn't stay up. Okay. But we've got a poll. All right, let me bring my team up. So this is it. I mean, it's the same team the other day. I'll do some changes in a minute because I'm going to get loads of questions about Chambers. Obviously, Chambers, I'm quite high up, and I don't know if I'm usually make myself that big on the screen. Oh, there you go. It even shows you when the poll's completed. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm happy about that. So yeah, we'll get on with the questions in a minute. I'll obviously do as many as I can as normal. We'll try and cover all the big talking points. I mean, this week's going to be chaos. Even the amount of stuff we've had this weekend with players going off injured. Obviously, transfer news with Lukaku. Been loads of questions about that. That's why he's on the thumbnail for this stream. Yeah, there's lots to talk about. I don't know how settled I am with my team. I feel like I'm fairly settled, but at any moment I could have a Christ, I'm just going to change everything moment. I think a lot of people are making me want Mahrez. And I don't know whether I think he's genuinely a really good option or it's because everyone's buying him. Like, is Son a worse option than Mahrez? I'm not sure he is, but he's $1 million more. So it's hard to fit him in. You have 12 of those without realising. I mean, there is always going to be a very, like, Salah, Fernandes and Rafinha will be in a lot of teams. That's already 3. Trent, Sanchez, that's 5 players that are going to be in most people's teams, I think. Harvey Barnes is class. Robertson was injured, yes. So the latest on Robertson is... Obviously, we don't know for sure. We don't know whether he's going to be out for a long time or not. We don't know how serious it is. He twisted his ankle. The pain has settled, but we can't say anything further. So it's probably a good thing if the pain's already going. I mean, settled doesn't mean gone, but it means it's probably getting better, I guess. So we'll have to wait for a scan. We'll have to see how many weeks he's out for. I got to be honest, unless you're going to suddenly ditch Trent Alexander-Arnold, I'm not sure. I don't even know how you pronounce it. Is it Stimkas? He's $4 million left back for Liverpool. And according to Liverpool fans, he's played quite well in pre-season. I'll be honest, I've not seen him play at all. But unless you're going to get rid of Trent Alexander-Arnold, which feels absolutely crazy, unless Robertson was out for like the whole season or something, maybe not the whole season, but you know what I mean. It doesn't really provide you with that much money, really. I mean, I could do Luca Dean to this guy and save 1.5 million, I guess. Would help me a bit. I could do Tony to Ings, but I don't think it's the biggest thing unless Robbo's out for a while. And even then, someone like Milner could play left back at a moment's notice. So I don't know if it's going to be Shimikas. Okay, I've heard that before, actually. Can Shimikas... Oh, is that definitely how you do it? We're going with Shimikas unless someone can tell me better. Can he cover Trent? Nah, I don't think so. It will be Shimikas or Milner at left back. Doesn't change anything for FPL. Yeah, I don't think so. I think the chats are a bit ahead of the stream. I'm not sure what you mean. The chats are ahead of the stream. I don't know what that means. Let me know what you mean. Yeah, I don't think it changes too much either. Lukaku, personally for me, obviously we'll have to wait and see how much he is, but I don't think that's going to change too much for me either. Like, if he was 10 million or less, then okay, maybe I'll make a decision about whether to sell Fernandes or Son and get Lukaku instead. But, like, if he was 10 million, would I do Son to Lukaku and do Tony to a 6.5? Possibly. But he'd have to be starting in game week 1. Because if he's not, you lose the Crystal Palace game. And the next 5 games for Chelsea are not amazing, really. Especially up to game week 6. So, and I don't think he's not going to be 10 million, by the way, either. It'd be 10.5 minimum. I personally don't think he'd be any cheaper than 11. So I don't think it really changes things. He's amazing. At some point, I'll own him probably from game week 7. But I don't know if I'm ripping my team apart to get him in straight away. So yeah, Lukaku probably doesn't matter too much. Your video's a bit behind the chat. The chat popped up about 30 seconds before you said you created it. Oh, I see. We see the chat message about a minute before you read it. That's what I mean. Okay, I don't think there's really much I can do about that. Although I've just put the chat back. Okay, maybe. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Odds on 2 and Zebi starting the first game. So a few people were talking about him today, how they might go to a back 3, but again, there was talk about them going for a back 3 so they can play Watkins and Ings up front. I don't know how likely that is realistically. I don't know. I mean, the fixtures are good, I suppose. How much is he? I don't even know how much he is. I wonder if they've even priced him yet. He's 4.5 million. So again, am I that bothered? Do I think it changes the landscape? Not really. I guess you could cover Villa defence if you really wanted to, but I think I don't think he's going to be an option that we can say is definitely first choice. Tony Buendia or Ings Veltman? Tony Buendia or Ings Veltman. I mean, Buendia might not even start. He didn't play today, so probably Ings Veltman, just to be sure. If Kane goes to City, will you have him? Spurs looking at getting a new striker. Yeah, Lautaro Martinez, isn't it? I mean, he looks damn good. Be amazing purchase if Spurs can get him. Yeah, if Kane goes to City, I think if you knew he was going to start for Norwich, I probably would rip my team apart to get him and captain him. But I just don't know if he's going to be... I just think that whole situation is a proper mess. It's not going to be resolved by game week 1. They play each other. There's no way Levy's going to let Kane play against Spurs. So will he be ready for game week 2 start? I'm not so sure. I mean, he's obviously very Premier League proven, of course. But I do wonder if Pep would still bet him in slowly, possibly, if he wasn't convinced he was definitely fit. So if you don't get him for Norwich, I wouldn't be so concerned. But at some point, yeah, I'd have to have him. Fernandes would go. Like, Fernandes is my make weight for any of these big premium hitters that we're talking about. Who will be this season's Lundstrom or Dallas? I don't know, to be honest. Hoover, definitely not pronounced that right. Wolves is starting pre-season. Semedo, I don't think has been anywhere to be seen yet. I could be wrong about that. Again, let me know. 4 million, possibly. I don't think there are too many 4 million defenders or 4.5s that are kind of unknowns right now, to be honest. If there is, I'm missing them. Let me know in the chat who you think it is. I recommend Watkins over Tony. if he's 1 million more expensive. That's the problem. I do think, by the way, I don't think I'm going to keep Luka Dean. I think I can't really remember why I put him in the first place. Probably because I just had 5.5. But I'd probably go to Wilson, possibly. I won't be going to Watkins or even Ings I would go to. Thoughts on Jimenez? There's a very nice fixture change between him and Ings after game week 3. I think I'll get him then. Yeah, I would definitely wait on Jimenez. I just want to see if he can definitely play week in, week out. Again, the fact that he's getting minutes in pre-season and fairly regularly makes me think he probably can. And it's not too much of an issue, but the first 3 matches are not ones where I'm that bothered. So I think he's a wait and see. And then if he's looking good, there's plenty of players you could swap him to. I think that's why it's so good having an 8 and a 7.5. That's why I'm tempted by Ings and Antonio, because you've got so many players you can move to easily enough. Obviously, when Antonio gets injured. Okay, here we go. Semedo missed last friendly because of his isolating, but he's played most of the other preseason games. Should be nailed for Premier League. Yeah, so maybe Hoover is not an option then. Livramento, yeah. I mean, the thing is, there's lots of players. The difference with Lundstrom was and Dallas, we knew like they were going to play. I don't think we know who those this year's version of them are yet. Arma Bamadelli. I mean, he plays for Norwich though, doesn't he? That's the problem. Amity is 4 million and Fofana's injured. Yeah, but Johnny Evans is the kicker there. Like once Johnny Evans is back, Amity probably goes out of the team. And Johnny Evans is listed to be back for the 11th of September, so that'll be after the international break. But yeah, I'm not completely against Amity. I think it's a transfer going to be waiting to happen. I don't know if you want that from a 4 million defender. But then if you're just putting the 5th defender as a 4 million anyway, that you're not really that bothered about, then Amity's probably just as good as anyone else, really. Where do I stand on Bruno versus Bruno? Luke made a good point on Black Box about him probably not being worth 12 million. Yeah, possibly. The only thing is, I think when people aren't going for Fernandes, they're going for like, I don't know, someone like Havertz. And then there's already a plan to get rid of Havertz. And there's no problem with having a plan to transfer players, but for me, the thing with Fernandes is, for me, he's so close to being a great captain option in the first few weeks, like Salah, that yes, I'm not captaining him, so you could make the argument that for 12 million he's not worth it. But if anything happens, boom, he's my captain straight away. And I think he can literally be swapped to Kane or Lukaku or Mane or De Bruyne or anyone that I want. So I just like having 2 premiums. It just makes life easier going forward. Do I plan to transfer him out? No, but at some point I will. Like his fixtures from game week 7, game week 9, I guess. I mean, to be fair, Man United do play Liverpool, Spurs, and Man City in a row, which isn't ideal. But outside of that, Man United's fixtures are pretty good for quite a long time. So we'll see. So right now, I don't see any reason why I won't start with Fernandes. I'm not really that big on Havertz. If they want to get Lukaku, I'm even less worried about him. I fully appreciate that Havertz will probably play game week 1 regardless, just because of pre-season minutes and knowing the team, etc. But I just think Arsenal, Liverpool, Spurs, Man City to come after that, it is just a transfer. And I fit Son in with Fernandes, so I guess I'm a little bit less worried about not having him. He was so good for the last 18 months. He's been here. Unless Kane moves, he's absolutely staying. Okay, yeah. So unless Kane goes to City, Fernandes is staying. Yeah, I don't. If I swap him from this team, who do I go to? I'd probably go to Mahrez. I have 3 million to spend. I'd probably go to a 3-4-3 and I put Danny Ings in. So Fernandes plus Luka Dean, I guess, ish for Mahrez and Ings. I don't know. Probably just going to go for Fernandes. I think the fixtures are just so good. And also, Man United have had a fairly good pre-season, even if Fernandes hasn't been involved the whole time. Like Leeds, Southampton, Wolves and Newcastle, it's a pretty nice opening set of 4 fixtures. I mean, Southampton's got no Ings, no Ward-Prowse probably. Wolves, obviously, new manager. We're not quite sure how they're going to play out. Newcastle, not great defensively. Leeds, look, let's see what happens. But Man United tanked them at Old Trafford last year, and I don't think they're going to score 6. No way. But yeah, I'm on Bruno. It's not like a... I think a lot of people think automatically if you've got Bruno, it's because you're worried about not having him, but I'm not really. Like, if Kane's an option or Lukaku's an option, like if Lukaku's an option from game week 7, I could see me switching Fernandes to Lukaku, just to avoid those tougher fixtures for Man United. Maybe not in game week 7 because United play Everton, but after that. But for now, I'm not seeing a good enough reason to go without him. I think for me, I'm kind of happy with the 4.5 million defender, so I'm not that worried about having Diaz or Chilwell or Luka Dean from the off. The only thing I would like to do, I would prefer to be playing 3-4-3 because I think there's so much value in cheap defenders. If I could get to an Ings or a Wilson, it would be good. That's not, from what I've seen, it's not really possible with Son, Fernandes and Salah. But again, is dropping Fernandes to get someone like Ings or Wilson worth it? I don't know if he is. I'm more likely to drop Son, I think, and go to 3-4-3 than drop Fernandes. I really like the look of Son, though. I don't know. Everyone's going for Mahrez. He's $1 million cheaper, so it's easier. But I just look at Wolves, Watford, Palace for Son. They're such good fixtures. Might be slightly tempted to start with someone else and then bring Son in. Maybe Havertz. But it won't be at the expense of Fernandes, that's for sure. I'm pretty settled on him, to be honest with you. Do you think Firpo will be a good punt for FPL this season? I'm thinking of getting him as he rotates well with Chambers, Ben White. I would just get Ayling for now, and it's not because I don't think Firpo has the potential to be worth that extra 0.5 million. It's just that I don't think he made the last game because of a knock. Now, he might be back for game week 1. I just don't know if it's worth spending. I don't think it's worth spending the extra 0.5 at the start of the season. But at some point, when we see how he plays with Leeds week in, week out, is he way more attacking than Ayling? Then yeah, I'm definitely... Because his stats are so good. I know he's played further forward than left back before, but Leeds are obviously going to give him the opportunity to get forward like they do when Dallas or whoever else plays there. Like when... what's the guy that played there last year? He was only 4 million, I think, for a while. Well, I can't remember his name. I'm sure... Alioski. So I do like the look of Firpo. I just don't know if I like the thought of paying 0.5 extra for... start of the season. But yes, Arsenal Leeds do rotate quite well if you don't want the double up. If you've got Sanchez, if you don't want to double up on Brighton with a Brighton defender. Sanchez, Chilwell, Trent, so far, sure. One more phone in the back for Havertz. Some thoughts. Yeah, it's solid. It's fairly template, right? It's pretty solid. You've got no Bruno. I've just talked for ages about whether I think Bruno is a good idea. Outside of that, you've got a pretty standard team. I don't think Watkins is necessarily an awful option now, but personally, I'd want to find the 0.5 for Ings, I think. And Ben Rama has suddenly become a bit of a Twitter differential in the last kind of 24 hours. Again, don't hate it for 6 million. And Jota looks good for game week 1. It'd be interesting to see how many games Jota plays for. I don't know if he's suddenly going to get more minutes this season, but I am waiting to see if that is the case. But yeah, pretty solid team. I guess that's 4-4-2. I don't know. I got to be honest, actually. Now I think, is it 3-5-2? 1, 2, 3. 3-5-2, yeah. Okay, good. Here we go. Okay. Let's get a poll going. Is Fernandes in your current draft? Let's have a look. Okay. Let's see how quickly the poll comes up after I stop talking. So I've just put it up now. Let me see. 16. Takes quite a while to go up. That's the only annoying thing. See, it's 5 seconds already. There you go. Maybe 5 to 10 seconds. So we'll see. Because obviously, it's all well and good going and look at the template like I did today, to be fair, on the FPL site. But in the Twitter communities and YouTube communities, it's usually a little bit different. Feels like Jota is first choice now. Possibly. It could be his place to lose. And look, to be honest, I think with Norwich Burnley up first, it ain't a bad 2 games to bet on, to be honest. It's not too bad games to bet on. You don't need to put it in the chat. Just vote. 1,200 votes already. The results are making me want to go without. No, don't do that. Don't pick based on what other people are doing. If you think he's a good option, keep him. If you don't, get rid of him. Don't worry. I mean, essentially, I'm saying ignore the poll results. 70. Okay, we're going to end it now. 77% Yes. Only 23% going Bruno. So there you go. He's popular. He's popular. As if we didn't know he was popular, right? Anthony, 61% of West Ham goals were scored from crosses. Nice. First 7 fixtures are good. Wildcard game week 8. Thoughts on Cresswell, Sofal, Masuaku at 50 million to enable max budget for the attack. The thing is, do we know that Masuaku's definitely going to start? I don't think that's... I mean, if he play a back 5, then he probably will. But is that a certainty? West Ham fans, what do you think? Sofal I like. I mean, you're taking Cresswell... I don't know how much that's really enabling you, because I think Sofal's a good pick anyway. I don't know if Masuaku is. And Cresswell's the same price as Shaw, which a lot of people have got. So I don't think it's really enabling you too much budget for the attack more than anyone else's team, really. Because like that could just be, I don't know, Shaw, Tierney, I don't know, Veltman, same price, right? So I don't think you're really getting anything there. And then you're putting all your eggs into a West Ham basket. I personally don't like it. I like Sofal, but I wouldn't do that necessarily. The league code is on the screen. It's V. Okay, do you know what? I'll put... let me just unpin this message. I'll put it in the chat. But yeah, it's on screen right now. And it's in the description as well. League code equals V57 8D7. And then... put it. Who would you replace Watkins with? Antonio. If you already have Antonio, Wilson or Tony. Or Ings, but the reason I've not put Ings in that list is because he's more expensive. But if you've got the money, I think Ings is going to start most weeks. I can't see why else Villa would have bought him. But the only thing that kind of, I mean, the fixtures are great for Villa. The only thing I'm kind of considering now is the fact that Villa are like not a mess, but they've got a lot of new players. They're trying to fit Watkins and Ings into the same team. They've not played with 2 up front for most of last season. Leon Bailey and Buendia both weren't even in the squad this week. Are they going to change formation to fit Buendia in? Possibly. Then that's another new formation they're going to be playing. Obviously, they can be training with all these formations and trying to get used to them as a group. But I don't know. I think right now I'll be going with Ings or no one from Villa, I think. I mean, El Ghazi, the fact that he took the penalty when Ings was on the pitch is good, but obviously then how often is El Ghazi going to be on the pitch, right? If they stick with 4-4-2, maybe quite a bit, but I don't think they're going to stick with that. But I don't know what they're going to go with, really. 4-4-2 is the most sensible way to start the season until things heat up. Yeah, I got to be honest, I'm really quite liking 4-4-2. Luka Dean down to... The only annoying thing about 4-4-2 is it feels like you can't go for a 4 million defender. Obviously, if Shimikas was nailed, then that's different. But it feels like you've got to have the 4.5. So you don't lose 0.5 to play with, but you kind of do. So, for example, if I put Veltman in, then I can do Tony to Wilson, but I can't get up to Ings. And I think I just would want Ings. And where do I find the 0.5 million from? It's very difficult. Realistically, Tony lets me have Sofal instead. But I do like 4-4-2 because you can easily switch it to a 3-4-3, like Son down to Jota, whoever, and then suddenly you've got the money to get Obafemi up to Tony or whoever it might be. And then you can start benching one of your defenders, but you've still got a good bench player on your bench as well. So I think having Son there makes it quite flexible. I guess the only issue is you couldn't do Son and Obafemi to Danny Ings because you'd have to only get a 6.5 million midfielder, and then obviously your choice is less and you couldn't have Harvey Barnes or Jota or Greenwood or something like that. Sell Rafinha. Rafinha's going nowhere. Rafinha is locked in my team. And also, I don't know about Chambers now because he didn't start today. Loads of Arsenal fans tweeted me and said that they still think Chambers is first choice and that it shouldn't be Bellerin, but I don't know if I would bother. If they had better fixtures in 2 and 3, I might risk it. But the fact that I'm going to then bench this player for 2 weeks makes me think I should probably just start with Ben White. Super boring, but it is what it is. I don't see why Shaw wouldn't start. He played the last game. To be honest, why don't I like Luka Dean anymore? I've not really had him in too many of my drafts. I think I had him in the first ever one, the last one I did. But with all the tinkering I've been doing behind the scenes, very rarely has Luka Dean been in my plans. I think he's fine. I think I wouldn't... If you have him, I wouldn't let that Man United game put you off. Like, they've got good fixtures. They're not playing Man United every week. Yeah, there you go. Chambers' first choice. I really want to risk it, but I just don't have... I don't think I have the squad for it. Do you think you can make a video about properly increasing squad value? To be honest, the problem with FPL is... Like, lots of people do like evergreen content, but realistically, it's most of the time it's useless. Because how can you properly increase squad value? Well, you need to bring in players that are going to rise in price, right? So you need to bring in some bandwagons, especially at the start of the season. But if I say that, what does that mean? Which players do you bring in? Like, there's always going to be times when you shouldn't make that move, and realistically, you can only know that when the game week comes around. It's really hard to give just black and white advice for the rest of the season because things change so quickly. So, if Tony scores a hat-trick against Arsenal, right? I'm not saying that's going to happen, right? Let's say he does, and Wilson blanks. Then in my head, I know that Wilson's still a good pick, or otherwise I wouldn't have put him in my squad at first. Would I make that switch? I probably would, because Tony's going to go up 0.3 million, sorry. And if he scores again in Game Week 2, he's going to go up again straight away. So I might make that move just for the value increase because I don't know if keeping Wilson's a good move. But then something else might come up in Game Week 2. So it's pretty difficult to say how do you increase squad value. I mean, sometimes people get increased squad value because they just start with the right players. And again, I can't tell you who they are. I would just assume it's the players that we think are going to do well. Last year I started with Calvert-Lewin. He started off with a bang. 1 goal Game Week 1. I think it was a hat-trick in Game Week 2, maybe. And that was it. His price went up, up, up. And how did I increase that? Well, I just owned him. It's just one of those things, right? So it's hard to give like evergreen advice on that. But yeah, okay, yeah. FPL Statistics is a good site to use. But even then, they'll say themselves at the start of the season, it's very difficult to accurately get the price rises right. Is Gundogan being slept on? Low ownership, cheap. I like Gundogan. I like Gundogan and I like Mahrez, to be honest. I think with De Bruyne out, Grealish only just getting into the team, possibly going to play off the left a bit. I think Gundogan's a good option, yeah, for 7.5. But then he's competing with Greenwood and Jota. Is Jota a better option if he starts the first two? He probably is. There's just lots of options around that price point. Son, Greenwood, Mahrez, Rafinha, Jota, pick 3. Son... I mean, if you're going for upside, probably Son, Mahrez, Jota, but I'd probably drop Jota for Rafinha. How about Son and Obafemi to Tony and an 8 million mid? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's the 3-4-3 option. Like, realistically, okay, hang on, let me just get through the super chat a second, I'll show you. Bowen or Buendia? Probably Bowen right now, just because Buendia didn't play the last game. What do you think of a strategy of trying not to use the transfer certain weeks if you see a week ahead where you want to use 2? Yeah, absolutely. But I wouldn't... It's hard to know until you know what the actual transfer is, right? But I wouldn't stop myself doing a transfer just because I want to use 2. Like, if there's a transfer I have to make, I'll just take the hit the week after, or I'll reassess whether I definitely need 2. But if you can hold a transfer to get 2, that's always usually a handy thing to be able to do, especially later on in the season. If you had to pick Kane or Lukaku... I mean, if Kane's at City and Lukaku's at Chelsea, I think I've got to take Kane. I think I would have to take Kane. But I think Lukaku could get close to him. The biggest difference will be who gets penalties. We know Kane's going to get penalties at Man City because he's a great penalty taker, and Man City are awful at taking penalties, whereas Chelsea have got Jorginho. So I don't know if Lukaku would get them. So probably Kane. But again, let's see how much Lukaku is, right? I think this season... we're going to be switching premiums around. We're going to have, again, we say this every year, right? You're going to have to just start accepting you're not going to be able to have every big hitter in your team. Simple as that. And for me, I think it's maybe one of the reasons I like Son is because it feels like I'm getting 3 big hitters, which is very difficult to do if you go for another one like 11 or 12 million. I've got Crawl for saves plus Pen King. Yeah, not for me. I just don't see enough clean sheets. You consider Diop. I think he played today, didn't he? Or played last? Was it yesterday? I think West Ham played. Possibly, but I'd really just want to find the extra 0.5 for so far. I think he's that attacking. I think you want to find the 0.5. Is Duffy worth a risk? Someone did message me, right? Someone who I can't. Someone did message me and kind of implied that Duffy would be playing, but then he didn't start the next friendly, so I'm not really sure what to make of that info, to be honest. I don't know if he's going to be an issue. An option. I don't think so. Hang on, sorry. Take some water, man. Okay. So mostly I am just kind of playing around with a few different spots with my team. I'm not against getting Tony still, but basically the Son, Obafemi, and like one of the 4.5s, whoever it is. I even like 5 days out, I'm still not 100% certain exactly which 4.5s I'll go to. I just know that I want 4.5s. It'll probably be these three. But let's just say we get rid of White. These are the three spots I'm thinking about, because if I go for a striker up front, let's say Danny Ings. Danny Ings for Villa. Then I'd probably go for a 4 million defender. I probably would just go for it. Let's put this new dude in. Where is he? Where is he? Oh, yeah, there he is. Livramento. And then I'd have 7 million. So I'd possibly try to get to... I'd either go to Tony here and just get Jota, or I would probably just go for Harvey Barnes. Something like this. So basically here, I'm playing at 3 at the back, so I don't need this 4.5 million defender. So then it's Barnes and Ings versus playing a 4.5 every week plus Son. And in my head, I feel like this is probably the better option. Maybe leaves me a little bit more flexible. Not really, to be honest. Actually, not really. But yeah, I think that's about it. I think that's the only 3 slots I'm really looking at, depending on injuries and stuff like that. So I'm quite settled, to be completely honest. Fairly settled, anyway. Why Son with such fixtures? Because he will play as a striker. But Son's fixtures are great, apart from Man City. So I could start with someone else, possibly Havertz, right? A lot of people obviously bigged him up. But these 3 fixtures are good, but yeah, possibly here I'm looking to get rid. But even then, right, Chelsea's difficult. Could he get something against Arsenal? And then it's Villa, Newcastle. I don't think he'd be a must-sell here. But granted, it's not fantastic fixtures. But these 3 are great. Wolves, Watford, Palace. There ain't much to dislike about them. I don't think... to be honest, I don't really care if Kane's there or not. I just think Son's that good. I don't think it's going to matter, to be honest with you. Yeah, Wilson. Okay, so I don't think Wilson is injured. Am I missing... I thought he lined up yesterday or something. I must admit, the amount of freaking... Yeah, he played. Yeah, he played yesterday against Norwich. I don't know if he scored, though. They won 3-0. Who was that? Matt Ritchie who's scoring? Yeah, Matt Ritchie scored. 2 goals from Dwight Gale. But I think Callum Wilson started. Callum Wilson came off on the 66th minute. So he played yesterday, so he should be fine. He got through the game. Yeah, Lucas Moura is kind of in with a group of players, which I'm not 100% sold on, but they could be options. So Lucas Moura, Dele Alli possibly as well. Ben Rama is another one people are obviously talking about quite a bit. There's a lot of players around that price point. I don't think they're necessarily standout, but they could definitely be options, especially if you wanted to go for one position, which is a bit of a punt. Watford attackers, I would just go for Sarr right now or no one. I wouldn't be mad unless I was 100% certain or they had really good fixtures. I'm not sure how much I would bet on a newly promoted team. I mean, their fixtures are quite good apart from Spurs. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not going for any. That's for sure. I'm not even really. Apart from Sarr, I just haven't kind of considered anyone. You have to go to page 2 to find him. Juan Camilo Hernandez Suarez, Cucho. But he's only 5 million, so possibly if you wanted someone if he was going to get minutes and you had to put money to spend over Obafemi, possibly. But I don't think right now I'd be looking to start him week in, week out. I mean, maybe if he's going to play every week. Let's see. Hang on a sec. So if you go on Fantasy Football Scout, they've got a pre-season section where they've got all the minutes that players have played. So let me see right now. Let's go to Watford. Cucho. He has played... Why can't I see this? Oh, yeah. He has played 48.7% of all Watford's pre-season minutes. There's only 5 players who have played more. And most of them are defenders or midfielders. So for 5 million, he could be decent. So I don't think... I think you could be onto something there. But either you have to be certain that you want to spend that extra 0.5, which I probably wouldn't, or you got to start with him, and it feels maybe a little bit risky. Because where'd you go if he's no good? It's a lot of money to upgrade. Amity good for 4 million since Fofana and Evans injured. The thing, possibly, but obviously Evans might be back by game week 4, and also they could play Ndidi at the back. Which they've done before as a centre-back, but Amity didn't do himself... He did himself a lot of favours, I would say, of how he played against Man City. So it could be worth a punt, but I wouldn't rely on him for 5-6 weeks into the future. Cavani, I wouldn't be too sure about. He hasn't played... I don't think he's played in pre-season yet. I could be wrong about that. Let me just check. I know there was a bunch of subs made yesterday, but I don't think he was one of them. Let me see. Or maybe he has. No, I don't think he's played at all yet. So I'd be a bit wary of him, to be honest. I think we could play Greenwood up front, Martial up front. Let's see what Solskjaer says this week. Thoughts on Greenwood / Jota over Antonio? No way. Over me boy Antonio. It's blasphemy on this channel. Blasphemy. No, I think Antonio gets you guaranteed minutes unless West Ham sign another striker. I would be worried about Antonio around the time West Ham start playing Europa League, which I think is between game week 4 and 5, maybe 5 and 6. That might make me a bit more worried on Antonio. They've surely got to sign a striker, even though they might rest him in Europa League and just play him in Premier League. But in terms of Jota or Green, I mean, if you could guarantee me Jota was going to play 75 to 80 minutes for the first 6 game weeks, I'd maybe reconsider, but I just don't think anyone can guarantee me that, so I would say Antonio for sure. One player that came into my thinking considering his new old manager and how he looked pre-season was Doherty. Yeah, I think the thing with Doherty is, like, he obviously shone for Nuno in a 5 at the back. I don't know if he's going to do that in a 4 at the back, and the thing with Spurs is, he and Reguilon are both 5 million. So I don't see why I would go with Doherty over Reguilon. Obviously, I'm not going for a Spurs player from the off, a defender. So we can wait and see how they play. And if Doherty's looking really good, then maybe he's the one to go for. But I have a feeling for the same price, it will just be Reguilon. Robertson news, he got injured. Yeah, I mean, that's all we know. That's all the news I have. It's an ankle thing. Apparently the swelling or the pain's gone down already. But they'll have to wait for a scan to see how bad it is. Jota doesn't need 70 minutes to score. I mean, no player needs 70 minutes to score, but it is helpful if they get it. Like if I told you now, Jota was going to play game week 1, then get 20 minutes, then get 30 minutes, then play game week 4. He's not as good an option. Does any striker become a better asset at Southampton? Look, I'd be surprised if they don't buy someone. So let's see who they buy. I can't imagine they're going to go into the season with like Shane Long, Obafemi. They've got to buy someone, surely. Am I going to make space on the wall for more shirts? Well, to be honest, we actually did make space this season. There's 2 more shirts. So I don't know if you remember, but this was a bit smaller last time. There was only actually the 6 shirts on there. I think there was maybe space for 1. So there's still space for 2 new shirts. I'm not in any rush to fill them. Let's see who makes themselves a hero. Let's see who makes themselves a hero early season. Like even Calvert-Lewin didn't get up there, and look how good he was at the start of last season. Make sure you hit that like button, by the way. Let's get to 1,000 likes if you haven't hit that button already. And make sure you subscribe as well. We're well on our way to 200k. Things are going rather crazy this season. Yeah, again, like Calvert-Lewin is just now a worry because he didn't start the last game and he might be injured. So that's the problem with this week. We're going to get so much more news between now and Friday. But right now, I am not liking the idea of going for Calvert-Lewin at all, to be honest. I just don't know if there's enough upside for a player that hasn't had any pre-season minutes yet over going like Ings, Wilson, or Antonio. Like it's like I said before, like during pre-season, I don't really necessarily look to it for form or anything like that. But I do want to see players playing, and obviously the longer of a pre-season they get, the more kind of I would want them in my teams. Like Antonio's had a lot of pre-season minutes. Calvert-Lewin's had none. Who could take Robertson's place? So Tsimikas, possibly 4 million. We'll have to see how long Robertson's out for and what Klopp says about him. But Milner could play there possibly. Some Liverpool fans, again, that I've seen talking about this on Twitter, even like non-FPL fans, saying that Milner might just be needed in central midfield because I think it's Thiago and someone else who's not springing to mind now. Just aren't necessarily going to be fit to start, in which case Tsimikas might play left back. But the one thing I would remember this season is the I mean, it's only a week difference, right? So maybe it doesn't make a huge difference, but the international break is between game weeks 3 and 4. So once 3 game weeks are done, players have got 2 weeks to like recover from injuries and stuff like that. So even if Klopp said, well, Robertson's going to be out for... Let's say he says tomorrow Robertson is going to be out for 4 weeks. Well, first of all, you've got 4 or 5 days until the weekend anyway, and you've got 2 weeks over the international break. So the most he's probably going to miss is 3 games. And then you've got to be sure that this Tsimikas is going to play in those 3. And then also you've got to consider the fact you might want a third Liverpool player. So unless you're going to be ballsy and drop one of like Shaw or Trent or Luka Dean to get this guy, I don't think it makes as much difference as we all probably thought it did straight away. And we all did it, right? When we saw Robertson had come off with a knock, I checked the price of the backup option straight away. But I don't know if it's as good as I first thought. Is 4-5-1 a good formation? I don't particularly like it. You have 2 cheap strikers. They're not going to play. I think it leaves you maybe a little bit inflexible. Someone has money. Ask him about Buendia. It's not like I ignore the chat unless it's a super chat. Can you change formation when you want to? I mean, you just sub players in and out before the deadline, yeah. Thoughts on Robert with Trent and Shaw if he's fit? Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue against Robertson, really. Like, if I was going 3-4-3, then I might have someone like Barnes. So you could make an argument to have Robertson instead and play 4-3-3. So I don't hate it at all. Still have Salah and Bruno with Rafinha and Buendia. Tony Ings, Antonio. Yeah, absolutely solid. As long as Robbo's fit, but I would question whether that's going to happen now for Game Week 1. God, I haven't talked this long straight for ages. I want Mane in my team, but I don't know what would be the best way about it. Have Salah, Fernandes, and Mane, or just replace Mane with Fernandes. You'll find it really hard push to create a decent team with Salah, Fernandes, and Mane. I think you just have to make the decision between Fernandes and Mane for me. Your plans on African Cup of Nations players? I'm not worried about that. That's not till January unless it's changed, is it? When is it? Yeah, it's 15th of January. I'll worry about it much closer to the time. Sometimes players don't go out. Sometimes they're back early, so it doesn't really make too much difference. I'm not going to worry about that now. There's a lot of games between now and when that starts. Kartik, good strategy to invest heavily in defensive midfielders and have 1 or 2 cheap strikers. I mean, it's not... Oh, God, my throat's really going. Hang on. I can't cope with this streaming lot. is it a good strategy? I mean, it depends how heavy you think is heavy, I suppose, and how cheap one or two cheap strikers. Like if you're talking 7.5 million, like if you're talking like Ings, Wilson, Antonio, Tony, then yeah, there's no problem with having like two cheap strikers. Absolutely not. Like I would say my midfield is quite heavy, like money wise. I still think it looks fine. Ismail Shah, again, I think like I said before, Benrahma, Harrison at that price as well. There's lots of options at that 6 million price point. Do I think Ismail Sarr is the best option? Do I think he's better than Benrahma? I think he possibly is. I feel like Sarr's more nailed. I do think it does look like Benrahma's maybe going to get some more minutes this season. Yeah, I like Sarr. I don't think he's like so interesting we should all be considering him. If you've got like a 6 million spot in your midfield, you could possibly look at him. But I wouldn't like go out of my way to own him or anything like that. I've had him in a draft, so I have considered him. Nikhil, hello. Is Wilson fit? Yes. Unless Steve Bruce says otherwise. He played yesterday, so I don't see why not. I'm juggling between Rafinha and Wilson versus Jota and Tony. Which better? Ooh, that's tough. I mean, Rafinha and Wilson definitely wins out minutes-wise. And Wilson's on penalties too. So unless Jota is definitely first choice now, which I'm not convinced he 100% is, I would say Rafinha and Wilson. I do like Rafinha though, so I'm a bit biased. Thoughts on 4-4-2, Buendia, Bruno, Salah, Mahrez in midfield? Yeah, I like it. It's very similar to what I've got, apart from I've got Son and Rafinha instead of Mahrez and Buendia. So yeah, I think 4-4-2 is fine. I think I wouldn't get too hung up on formations. Once you start going to like 5-4-1, I think it's a bit different. But 4-4-2 it's literally one player difference in going 3-4-3. It's one defender in for a striker. That's it. I wouldn't overthink it too much. Why two Brighton defenders? I just think the fixtures are that good. I mean, 4.5 million defenders. For me, it really does feel like Brighton, Arsenal, and Leeds. Like if I look here now, like which 4.5 million defenders are better? Obviously, Fofana's no good now. I don't really want Cody. Nuri, I wouldn't trust right now. Loughton. I mean, Burnley defender is not that much more interesting. Neither's Palace. I mean, maybe Dyer if he gets the minutes. I've already got a Leeds defender. So there just aren't too many options. So I think with the fixtures, I would just take the punt on two Brighton defenders. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. Have you considered dropping one of your 4.5 defenders to a 4? In a 4-4-2, I wouldn't go with a 4 million defender because then it means you have to play your two 4.5s every week. Like again, if we got a 4 million playing defender, then I might change my mind on that. But would I like to get Ings? I would, but I don't like what I would have to necessarily do. Like Son would probably be the one that has to go. Otherwise, it's Shaw to Sofal, but I kind of really want Shaw. Cheers, Josh. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Grealish game week 1, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe they just haven't got enough players that he's going to have to play, but we know what Pep's like. He likes to bed players in. Yeah, Robertson out with injury, but we don't know how long for. Thoughts on having no premiums? I mean, what price are you calling premium? I feel like it's probably not a great idea. You know that Brownhill can play. Brownhill ain't coming anywhere near my team, apart from on the bench. Not a chance. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of players like Kane, Lukaku. Of course, there are all possibilities, but not for game week 1. No, there's just too much unknowns. Finley, thank you very much. Like I think even if Kane signed for City tomorrow, I don't know if I would panic too much. Like you just can't have the ball, and there's no point trying to There's no point trying to work out the value players for the whole season if they don't have good fixtures for the start, right? I think sometimes we can get too caught out thinking, wow, he's underpriced for the whole, like, and he's going to be great over the season. But if he's not going to be great for the first 4 to 6 weeks, I don't really care. So yeah, that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. By picking Foster with his ownership and him not starting for Watford, surely risking dropping in value very early. Possibly. I feel like goalkeepers don't really drop that early. But yeah, possibly. But what if he does start? What if he does? Someone like Sofal would make defence look a lot better. Yeah, but it's Wilson to Tony or Son to Mahrez. I don't know. Maybe Son to Mahrez is the play anyway. Have you heard of Villa's Jaden Philogene Bidace? Bidace? I mean, I have heard of him, but only because I saw him on the team sheet today, I think it was. But again, he's not going to suddenly be playing in that team week in, week out, so I don't think he's really an option. Kane or De Bruyne? It's got to be Harry. He's going to be on penalties. If he goes to Spurs, obviously. Reece, thank you very much. Kartik, Sofan, Amity, Duffy, Eddie 4.2 or 4.5 is the thing. But again, what formation? If that's a 3 at the back and you've already got one 4.5, and then so you can afford to bench the 4 every week as your third bench option, then I don't mind it. If it's 4 at the back, I'd want the 2 4.5s. Any question which is Rafinha or a player around his price, I'm just going to say Rafinha right now. And when I say his price, I mean like 6.57, not 7.5. Good to have City cover for Game Week 2, possibly, but who do I swap from this team? Like, it would have to be Son to Gundogan, Son to Grealish, Son to Mahrez, possibly. But also in Game Week 2, when Mahrez is playing Norwich, which is a great fixture, don't get me wrong. Like, City could really hammer them. Son's playing Watford, and then he's playing... he's playing Wolves, then he's playing Watford, then he's playing Palace. You know he's going to start. You know he could be on penalties if Kane doesn't play the first couple of weeks. I don't know. I'm struggling with Mahrez because I know so many people have got him, and I do think he's a good option, right? Because I did a video on him. I don't know, probably only a few days ago. But I don't know how much I think he's a good option or how much seeing him in everyone's drafts influencing me. And am I now thinking of not going with him just because he's in everyone's drafts? I don't know. It's giving me a headache. Man City Premier League champions, Chelsea Champions League winners starting with no one. Yeah. It's the way it is. Things change quickly in FPL. Fixtures matter. Dan Ings is a must over Wilson. I mean, I think Dan Ings is good. Is he a must over Wilson? I mean, Wilson's fixtures are pretty good, apart from Man United. Wilson's definitely on penalties. I don't think it's that clear cut. Plus, who do you get the 0.5 million from? What do you think about having 6 million waiting to get Kane? Waste. You don't know when he's going to go. You don't know what week it'll be. You don't know when he's going to start. Just swap your premium when you need to. Don't be afraid to switch them up. Bench Sofal or Duffy. Duffy. You don't know if he's going to start. Madison or Zaha, I'd probably just go Harvey Barnes, to be honest. There's still all this talk about Madison going to Arsenal. I don't see that one, but who knows? Why is Son on with City fixture? Yeah, exactly. The fixtures after Man City are good. Again, I could put someone else in there. It's not really my play style, though. I mean, I did transfer, like everyone, I did transfer Aubameyang out after the first 2 game weeks last year. So maybe Havertz in. If Aubameyang was a 10 million midfielder, I'd possibly start with him against Brentford. Excuse me, sorry. Could be Pepe. Could start with Pepe and then move on to Son, maybe. But I think Havertz is more likely for me. Could be Jota, just for game week 1. And then switch to Son. I don't know. There's options. Could do Jota to Mahrez to Son. I don't like the idea of 3 transfers in the first 2 weeks, though. 2 transfers in the first 2 weeks. Willock to Arsenal. Willock to thingy. Newcastle, I guess. Yeah, Newcastle agreed a deal with Arsenal to sign Joe Willock on a permanent basis. Damn. Fair enough. He's only 6 million, isn't he? Will there be watch-alongs this year, and will there be a deadline stream review at FF Fest? No, I'm not going to FF Fest because of the deadline stream. Basically, I mean, like it's a great night for them to do it. Like choosing a deadline night is good, but for me, it's like the worst night possible. Game Week 1 deadline. So I'll be right here streaming on the Game Week 1 deadline. I will not be in London, but maybe if there's another one, I'll go for it. Will there be watch-alongs? Possibly, yes. I don't think I can make them regularly because if I do them regularly, I'm pretty much streaming or doing stuff like every single day for FPL and never having a break, which is great, but also not so great all the time. Because I'll be doing like a deadline stream on Saturday morning and then back to doing like a watch long. So I do want to do some, and I think the fact that there's so many games at 3 o'clock, I'll probably pick and choose when there's really good games on. Like if I've got hardly any players playing, it's just not as interesting to me. Do I prefer Luka Dean and Sanchez or Dunk and Pickford? I mean, Luka Dean and Sanchez for sure. I was just thinking that Pickford might get more saves, but Dunk is quite attacking, but I think I'd rather have Luka Dean. Which 2 Arsenal attackers would you pick if you had to? Pepe and Aubameyang, probably. Thoughts on Guaita over Sanchez? I just prefer Sanchez's opening fixtures, and then if you early wildcard, you can always swap. Would you go Rafinha, Sarr, Fernandes and Salah? Possibly, yeah. I mean, Fernandes, Salah and Rafinha have been in like every draft of mine pretty much. So it's only really Sarr, and it depends how much money you got to spend. But I don't mind him as a pick. Do you like the idea of keeping some money in the bank, expecting the Kane? Yeah, not really. Because the thing is, if you keep money in the bank for Kane, that means you're starting with a premium forward. And look, Vardy or Aubameyang might do well. But if you don't really want them anywhere, I don't see the point. And if you're keeping that money in midfield but still keeping money left over, then it makes no sense because you're just swapping that. You're having to make 2 transfers anyway. How many differentials do you recommend? As many as you think are good options without disregarding other players because they're highly owned. Morris scored 7.3 points per 90 since 2018. No brainer. Possibly. I still think with Mahrez is like this thought in the back of my mind is he definitely going to be nailed for like the first 3 or 4 fixtures? You just don't know with Pep. Like it just feels like at a second's notice, boom, he's out of the team again. 3-4-2 or 3-4-3, Tony versus Rafinha. That's a good question. Rafinha does have Man United and Liverpool first 4. Tony's got penalties. I'm going to say Rafinha, but that is close. Good question. It's on essential note. Why haven't I designed my team kit? That's a good question. I'll do it later. I'll do it in the colours of the logo and the channel. I don't think James Rodriguez is being overlooked. I think he probably wants out. I don't know if he's going to be utilised in a great way compared to how Ancelotti had him playing. Make sure to give the stream a like if you haven't already, by the way. We're over 800. Let's get to 1,000 before we call it a day. Would I consider Lautaro Martinez if he signed for Spurs or Arsenal? I mean, the answer to these questions is always going to be yes. Of course I would consider him. But again, when does he come in? What fixtures lie ahead? And how much money is he? It's always going to be the thing. And I think he would probably be like 9.5, something like that. So if he was at Arsenal, he's probably not going to play. I think most players that come in now are probably not definitely going to play Game Week 1. So he wouldn't be playing then. And they've got 2 really bad fixtures. So I'm not even looking at him until Game Week 4. Sanchez, Veltman, Trent, Shaw, White have a 1.5 in bank, planning to have a son yet. Pretty standard. And change Buendia to Rafinha Game Week 4. yeah, I mean, you can't. There's nothing I can say about that kind of draft because it is like it's basically the template, and you know what I mean. I like the template players, not because they're template, just because they're good. That's why they're in the template. So, yeah, obviously you're booking in 2 transfers already. The thing with Buendia is, I would really wait and see what Dean Smith says about him because he didn't play today, and apparently he's got a knock. So let's see. I don't know how bad it is. I don't know if that's confirmed, but that's what I've been reading. So obviously you could go for a different 6.5 like Rafinha, no problem anyway. Just from the off if you wanted to. We can't have all the players. It's about managing and getting them at the right time. Exactly. So yeah, I will consider anyone that comes in, but they're probably not going to go straight into my team at this point. The thing is, I think Son and Spurs in general, obviously Harry Kane's a big miss. They've had a pretty good pre-season in terms of minutes and stuff. Man United have as well. Liverpool definitely have. And so have West Ham. So having like Trent, Salah, Fernandes, Son, Antonio, I mean, it all looks pretty good to me. Any player that's coming in now, newly transferred, they've not had a pre-season with their team. So that would definitely make me like rethink or consider, going with them straight away. But there's lots of info we're going to get this week because of press conferences and stuff. There's going to be loads of like. There's going to be a player in this team here or in the main template where suddenly there's like a knock or they might not be available and suddenly it throws us into panic. I have a big question. Bruno and Rafinha play each other. That's a statement. That is a factually correct statement. You could drop Ailing for Amity. Yeah, but I want someone that's definitely going to play week in, week out. You need an Aston Villa player. Debatable. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for joining me on this Sunday evening. Make sure you keep hitting that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get to our 200k by game week 1. I'll have another video out tomorrow. There's probably going to be a few days this week where I do double videos, double upload, so an earlier one than an evening one. So keep an eye on that. Hopefully get 1 or 2 more guests on this week. We'll see about that. But either way, I'll be back all this week. Team selection, game week preview, captaincy, deadline stream. There's loads of stuff coming. So thank you very much for joining me. I'll probably do a couple more streams this week as well. Definitely a deadline stream. I'll probably do one in between as well. Especially if we get some big news over the next couple of days. Because obviously we've got quite a bit today, but some of it's like up in the air still. Like how bad is Watkins' injury? How bad is Calvert-Lewin's injury? How bad is Robertson's injury, etc. So yeah, we'll definitely do 1 or 2 more. And yeah, I'll leave it there. Thank you for all the super chats. Thanks for hitting that like button, the voting on the polls, all that good stuff. It's good to be back. Thanks for your support. And yeah, I'll catch you soon.